Welcome to Sports Xtra, your premium online sports show. My name is Rumbo Chakreka, I'm your host, and today I'm joined by Rukudzo Vengesa. We're going to be talking about a whole lot of interesting things today, but more importantly, like, share, comment, subscribe to our Facebook and Instagram handles. That is at Sports Extra Zim, and then our YouTube channel is Sports Extra ZW. And remember, the extra is without an E. For all of you Premier League football lovers, we've definitely got a wonderful review for you today. But let's just quickly look at what we'll be talking about. We're going to be talking about the Chevrons. They lost by 7 wickets yesterday against Ireland, so the series is level 1-1 there. We're also going to be talking about what is happening locally, particularly in terms of our football warriors are going to be taking on Bafana on Friday, and our team is trooping into camp now. I don't know how that works, but anyway, they are trooping into camp now. We're going to also look at the Black Rhinos Queens, and then we're going to do an overview of the European football, particularly this weekend, how it really all went down. Oh, Messi had a debut, by the way, and Marshall Munetsi had him in his pocket. Well, anyway, that's kind of like, it's neither here nor there. But anyway, stay locked on to the show, because we are going to be giving it to you right as you want it on your premium online sports show. All right, so let's start off with cricket. Now, there's been a whole lot of mess around cricket. Sean Williams wanting to leave international cricket, but now we're hearing rumors that he might be on a U-turn back.
I'm not surprised at all by that.
At all. But nonetheless, so these are some of the things happening outside of the cricket ground. But on the cricket ground, yesterday Zimbabwe lost by 7 wickets after having posted a pretty decent total of 152 for 5. A wonderful knock there, particularly in the partnership between Milton Shumba and Ryan Burl. Milton Shumba actually really coming out and then showing all those shots. 46 of 27 balls. That's very decent in terms of T20 cricket, but unfortunately just not enough to get over the line. And the reason being, our field positioning was poor, our bowling was horrible, and ultimately we ended up losing the match.
So when it comes to the situation with the Chevrons, it's always one thing or the other in terms of the department that lets us down. On Friday, when we pulled out that really shock victory about when we only scored 117, that was our bet. We managed to survive the onslaught from Ireland because our bowling was actually quite good. But then yesterday, now the bowling let us down. And this time we actually lost the game. So that's where I now start to have an issue with the coaching system behind our various departments. We have to name names here, because there were a few names being thrown around last week. My biggest problem is the people in charge of the various departments. Bowling, we have Dagi Hondo. Dagi Hondo was at best an average bowler when he had his career. Our batting is headed by Stuart Matsikinyeni. Again, at best, and I'm being very, very polite here, at best he was an average batsman during his playing career. But they're the ones who are supposed to be imparting the knowledge, the skills, the ability, the mentality for our batsmen and bowlers to be able to perform at the highest level. They're not doing that. Something always goes wrong. The inconsistency, for me, is a sign of bad coaching. Very, very bad coaching. And we're now seeing the results of it every game. Something is missing. Either it's the batting or it's the bowling. We never have a cohesive team performance across the various departments that you need to win a cricket match.
And more importantly, I mean, you point out to the departments not being cohesive. One of the things that we were really known for, particularly in what we would say the heydays, though it's not like as if we were winning every match back in the heydays, but we were extremely competitive. We had our fielding on point. We didn't drop catches. We were very tight. We could defend low totals back then. But now, if you look at our fielding, people misfielding at the boundary, allowing fours to go through, sometimes even dropped catches within the infield or outfield. You're kind of thinking, what exactly is going on there? But let's come back to the two men that you spoke about, which is where our issues are very serious. That's particularly our bowling and our batting. Now, first and foremost, we've looked at the technique of Tadiwanashe Marumani. We know he can hit the ball long, he can hit it far. But the challenge is he's just swinging his bat. Surely at some point, the batting coach, Stuart Matsikenyere, must sit him down and say, son, this is now international cricket. It's not high school cricket. It was great when you did it at the St. George's T20 or at the St. John's College T20, but now bowlers will find you out and they will deal with you because it's international level cricket. We've seen the likes of Tarisai Msakanda. He's still struggling with the same problem. Every time that he has played, if you bowl it outside the off stump, he's going to cut, he's going to drive. He looks imperious. The moment that it is bowled onto the stumps, he's now got issues with LBW or it going straight through the gate and being bowled, particularly by spin bowlers. If we go even further to analyze other batsmen as well, we look at Dion Myers. He's getting starts, but he's not finishing off. So that is also another issue. Where are you, Stuart Matsikinyere, to sit the young man down again and say, look, son, I don't mind if in a T20 game, you come out with 35 or 36 deliveries. I really don't mind. What I want you to be able to do is to concentrate, okay? You don't play the wild shot out of the blue. Control your innings, dictate the pace. We know he's got all the shots in the book, Dion Myers, and he can do that. But we are not seeing that improvement. Let's come to our bowling again. When it comes to bowling, let's look at Tendai Chatara in this particular T20 international because I was livid with him. He gets the ball in his first over. He's changing bowling from our bowlers who were seemingly, also being hit all over the park. And then the first ball you bowl to Paul Sterling, who we all know, for anybody that is watching any of the cricket from the 100, which just ended, from the T20 Blast, which is played in England, or even some of the international cricket, we know Paul Sterling loves to free his arms. So anything wide and short outside off stump, you're going to the boundary. And that's the first ball you bowl up to him. So that means he's got confidence. He's already got one over you. So at the end of the day, you're questioning what are the strategies that we walk into the field to execute in our bowling and batting?
That's a very, very good question, Umbo. And for me, I have a problem as well with the tactics that are used. You're absolutely right. The tactics that are employed. Look, we managed to defend 117 on Friday. This time we had 152. That's a significant increase in T20s. That's a significant increase. How then are you not employing somewhat of the same strategy, the same tactics, indeed, to be able to defend a much bigger total? Firstly. Secondly, as well, you're absolutely right. I think we have a mentality problem. We've talked about this in terms of chevrons as well. We do have a mentality problem across the team. Whether it's concentration, whether it's overconfidence, whether it's, you know what, I'm going to try this because maybe the batsman is not expecting it to be a bowler. He said Tendai Chatara was saying that maybe he was trying to do the short and wide because he was saying, you know what, maybe the batsman was not expecting it. But that for me, again, comes back to your coaching. Your coaching has to have told you that this ball is out. For this innings, this ball is out. You do not, or for this batsman anyway, you do not use the short and wide ball at all, ever. Don't try and be clever about this. And it smacks of unprofessionalism for me. Someone's being unprofessional, the player or the coach, because someone has been derelict in his duty. Someone has not done the work, the research beforehand. That's what it suggests to me. As you said, we're supposed to be watching our opponents. Maybe not necessarily watching a full game, but you get clips. Someone in the research department or the coach or the player has not done their research ahead to say, you know what, this ball is out for this player. That's where I said the tactics come in. That's bad tactics. And it's preparation, it's concentration, it's mentality. We're missing it in Zimbabwean cricket at every single level.
Well, there's definitely a lot that has to happen, and would love to hear your comments, particularly on this one. We know appointments have been made of Elton Chigumbura and Kyle Jarvis coming through as scouts, for development and grassroots. But these are questions as well that we continue to ask, particularly when we look at the aspect of why are we saying that they become scouts? We've already got coaches that are within the developmental structures that are there at under 14, 15, 16, 17 level. For me personally, the perfect person for the job to do that scout development is David Muntendera, who's currently sitting as the convener of selectors. He has been in the private school setup, and he has also worked within the high density school setup, working even in the likes of Highfield and working with public schools as well to try and develop their cricket. So those are the people that would have an idea of how to be able to scout the talent in a way that Zimbabwe cricket does not have to spend money on the likes of Carl Jabevis or Elton Chigumbura to develop these players, particularly from a grassroots level. We appreciate Elton Chigumbura has got an academy in Bindura, raising up youngsters and so on and so forth. But it becomes a conflict of interest when you then say he's now in charge of scouting and development across the country. I'll just bring in the kids that I'm working with and just put them there. There's a lot of work that is being done in Mutare. There's a lot of work being done in Blawayo. A lot of work as well that is happening in high density areas in Harare, Chitungwiza and Glenview. Wesley Madevere, Milton Shumba. These are youngsters coming through from Chitungwiza, not the traditional Highfield. And so at the end of the day, you then begin to question, are we actually doing what we mean we are saying, like, or we are just throwing names out there and saying hopefully that will paper over the cracks?
That's exactly what we're doing, and I'm so glad you brought up the issue of a conflict of interest, because we've had this situation in Zimbabwe cricket before when Takashinga, I have to be honest here.
Yeah.
We've had that issue about people supposedly being favored in terms of you have a higher chance of playing for the chevrons if you play club cricket for Takashinga. And now we're having that same situation now where I'm so hopeful. Of course, I'm hopeful that Elton Chigumbura will not do that. But it can be an opportunity for him to say, you know what, these are the youngsters I'm pushing through the system. They're coming from his academy. It's dangerous. It is dangerous, because you then start cutting out other people who are not fortunate enough to be going to his academy. And that then leaves out so much talent. And of course, as Zimbabwe, we're always searching for talent, especially in cricket, because we do have it. A lot of it is just going to university and never again playing professional cricket. Yeah. And that's because they're not being given the opportunities at a young age of going through national setups, because they're not being noticed.
Yeah, well, so that is definitely something that's up for discussion. Would love to hear your comments, your thoughts on this particular one. But let's quickly move away from that one, because we can talk about it all day. And let's go towards our football, which is another big issue and story. The Warriors will be taking on Bafana, that's South Africa, on Friday, this coming Friday. So you can also tune into our Sports Extra on Wednesday. We'll be giving a little bit of a preview concerning that one, who we expect to be playing in the side. We announced the provisional side. UK clubs then said we're not releasing players, so we most likely won't be seeing the likes of Tendai Darikwa, Brendan Galloway, Macaulay Bond, Marvelous Nakamba, more importantly. But hopefully we can see the likes of Marshall Munetsi, who hasn't played for Dravko Logarasic ever since he started. And so, I mean, we have got a serious problem, Rukudzo, in the sense that locally our league is not running
at all.
We played 5 games of the Chibuku Super Cup and it's still dead quiet. We've been told it's a bio bubble that is needed only in order to get our football back. But already, let's just give you simple statistics. Zambia, our next door neighbor, when COVID came, the initial shutdown came, they stopped football for a while. They returned whilst we were still shut down, finished off their league, came back, did another league, finished off their league. That's when we then came back with the Chibuku Super Cup, did 5 matches, shut down again. Zambia is doing its thing. South Africa is doing its thing. Tanzania is doing its thing. Egypt, all the North African countries and West African countries are playing their football. Europe, we won't even say anything.
I mean, honestly, they have fans in the stadium.
They now have fans in the stadium. So now these are the questions we're asking. Is SRC Ministry of Health, Ministry of Youth, Sport, Arts and Recreation not digging a hole, particularly for sport right now?
Look, I am going to be very honest here. The SRC is actually cutting sport at the knees by this move, because now they're being overly cautious. The country is going through a vaccination drive as we speak. Players of sport can be vaccinated. All of them, everyone, at any level. And now you can start to say, you know what, we have more of a, shall we say, handle on the spread of COVID-19 when people start getting vaccinated. Yes, you can still catch it, you can still spread it. However, it's less of an issue now about having to have a strict bio bubble where they're not able to go back home, they're not able to interact with their family and whatever, and their friends, and they come back and play sport. Yes, we had big outbreaks of COVID-19 when the Chibuku Cup started, the Chibuku Super Cup started. That will now be alleviated somewhat. I am very, very sure of that. And we're now hurting, if you alluded to, we're now hurting not just football in the country, the entire sporting fraternity in the country, because people have been inactive now for almost 2 years, a year and a half at the very least. No one's getting younger. Your skills start getting dented. Your fitness is completely compromised at this point now. And we now start to say, for example, FC Platinum, we expect them to have a good CAF Champions League campaign.
Absolutely.
When they only started training 2 weeks ago. When they're now playing, as you said, clubs from other nations who have been playing for months. And then we start to say, but we want to take sports seriously in this country. Look, I'm not saying COVID-19 is not a threat. It's a big threat to the entire country. But there is a vaccination drive now. You can, as a community, you can isolate the sportsmen and women and say they need to be vaccinated, and then we go forward from there in terms of enabling them to at least have, especially the professional ones, to get their livelihoods back. Yeah. And then we also then start performing better against, international things, because now look, a lot of our international players who are in action for the Warriors are not going to be available. We are now having to lean on those local players who have not been in action for what, 2 months now?
Yeah.
And we're now going to say, this is the World Cup qualifier, not the Cassava Cup. Okay, this is the World Cup. We have never been. If you ask me, I think we don't have a terrible group. I doubt we would have gotten through, but because of Ghana. But we would have the opportunity to compete with them, because Ghana is not at the level they were in 2010 when they got to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. South Africa, most of their squad is from locally based players, and I personally feel full strength Warriors squad compared to a full strength South Africa squad were better. I personally,
we should be able.
And Ethiopia, I think we should be. Of course, you never know. African football is undergoing a lot of changes. There are a few teams that are coming up and surprising, like when Madagascar reached the quarterfinals of the last AFCON. But I feel we would have had a very good chance at full strength.
Yeah.
Or at least with our best locally based players. That's not going to happen.
Definitely not going to happen. And I mean, looking at it now, we have some additions that were brought to the squad. The likes of Silas Songani coming through from FC Platinum. Well, he hasn't really been practicing much. I mean, he's only been practicing with FC Platinum now. And now we're calling the likes of Ishmael Wadi, who has just joined JDR Stars in South Africa, but he wasn't doing anything. And most likely I'm going to call the likes of Blessing Sarupinda and so on and so forth to be joining this Warriors squad. So it makes it difficult. And yet at the same time, there is a call for the head of Zdravko Logarisic. But really, what do you expect him to do? Even if he's inept tactically, you would want to give him the best possible opportunity to disqualify himself from the job by giving him the necessary preparations. So this thing kind of cascades down all the way from looking at the ministry within itself, youth, sport, arts and recreation, and then their negotiations with the Ministry of Health, how far that is going, and then SRC within itself, how much are they going out there to say, look, you know what, we need sport back, because they are the custodians of sport sport in the country. Associations can only do so much by producing a document after document. How are we going to run this thing? How are we going to do bio bubbles? How are we going to effect vaccination drives and so on? That is all that they can do. But up until SRC begins to come out and say and fully say, look, you know what, guys, for sport to survive in the country, we need it to come back. Look, as fans, we don't need to attend.
At all.
We don't even need to attend at the present moment. Let the players play, let them be vaccinated, and then we move ahead with that one. So we'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on that one as well. Black Rhinos Queens doing very well, considering that women's football is even in a worse state. 2 years in action, without any action, but they come out with a 2-0 and a 3-0 victory in their 2 matches respectively. And it looks like they more likely will be able to qualify through to the CAF Champions League, CAF Women's Champions League.
Don't they, first of all, do they have to go through the semi-finals? That will be determined later today and with this recording. So first of all, they still have 2 more matches, but so far so good. They look like, you know what, they've really impressed me because, as you said, 2 years. It's been 2 years completely without any action. And they've managed to have some very, very good results. We just have to wait and see who they'll have in terms of an opponent in the semi-finals. But they're looking good to be able to get to that inaugural CAF Champions League.
Oh yeah, and definitely a fantastic initiative, at least being put together by CAF there to get the women to be playing football. That's how we'll get more competitive teams out of the African continent, as long as they continuously play the football.
I think actually, let's be honest, there's always a bit of a disgrace that is only happening in 2021.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to say women across the continent only started playing professional football in 2020. It's been there for decades in most countries. So why are we only having a CAF Champions League in 2021? That's a bit of a disgrace, but you know what? Better late than never. Thank you to our new CAF president, because he's looking after the women as well.
Oh yeah, there will be questions about whether you can thank him, particularly for the African Super League. But anyway, we'll talk about that on another time. As for now, we're going to be taking a quick short break. When we come back, we do the European League review. I know some of you are La Liga fans, Serie A fans, or Premier League fans, Bundesliga fans. We're going to be talking about all that and more right here on Sports Extra. Welcome back to Sports Extra. Thank you for being with us throughout the show. Exciting so far. Many points that we've put out there. But don't forget, comment, like, share, subscribe. We want to get our subscribers up and running. So far, we do have 29 subscribers. Thank you to all those that have come through, but we need more. Let's try and hit the 100 mark. Let's go beyond 100, 1,000. Let's keep it going as much as possible. Also on our Facebook page, Instagram handle, we'll keep on pushing as much sporting news as and when it breaks out. And that's at Sports Extra Zim. And remember, the extra is without an E. I'm still with my guest for today. That's Rukudzo Vengesa, and we're going to be talking about the European League review. But before we get there, if you haven't joined the Sports Extra Fantasy Football League, that's for the Premier League. I know that other leagues have got fantasy, but I know this Fantasy Football League is the best in the world. If you haven't joined, make sure you join on our Facebook page. It is the pinned post right on top. Click on the link and automatically you will join that league. The last time I checked, we were around about 106 players that have actually, or managers rather, that have come through, and it looks like, yeah, Sean Chihuahua is doing a number on us as usual in terms of the fantasy football. But you could stand a chance to win $200 US. Yes, I'll repeat it again, $200 US if you win the Sports Extra Fantasy Football League at the end of the season. So I'm in it as well because this one is coming through from one of our benefactors and sponsors. So I'm in it. I'm going for it. But right now, I'm not looking too good in terms of how it's looking at the moment. But anyway, let's go quickly into the European League review. We'll start off in Spain in La Liga. And be a little bit, let's throw you off a bit. You would have expected us to start in England. No, we'll start off in Spain. Barcelona, a 2-1 victory yesterday against Getafe. It looks like they are moving on without Messi.
They are. It looks like they're moving on with Messi, and the one who is really impressing me is Memphis Depay. He's coming straight into the team as a new player, and he's taking a bit more of the load, and he scored the winner yesterday. And look, they were not as convincing as they could have been against Getafe, especially at the Nou Camp, but they are racking up results. They're beaten, and as I said, Depay is looking quite good. So I think they were expected to be a part of the title race, 100%, because Spain is not looking really good in terms of the strength of even the top three. So even the loss of Messi are not going to affect that. But they're looking good for now. They just need to start now having better performances. Yesterday was not the best.
Yeah, definitely not the best. But you kind of feel at some point Barcelona had to make the move away from Messi. It's not like he was going to play well into his 70s or 80s.
100%. And you know what? If it's Memphis Depay who's taking on the load, because look, Antoine Griezmann, there's still a big question on him now, because people were saying, no, he's not performing well because he's playing in the same areas as Lionel Messi, or at his best he would play in the same areas. Lionel Messi is not there.
You are.
But now the talisman for now looks like Depay, not Griezmann. So you have to keep a watch out on that storyline.
Well, we'll definitely keep a watch out on that one. Real Madrid was also able to squeeze a result against Real Betis, and that was on Saturday. It looks like Karim Benzema is carrying off from where he left off last season. This time the goal coming through from Dani Carvajal. But overall, it seems like Carlo Ancelotti is discovering youngsters within the system of Real Madrid, in particular Miguel Gutierrez. He had a fantastic match.
Look, Real Madrid have to do that. They have to do that now, because the ability to splurge has been lessened by that. Yes, Miguel Gutierrez was very, very impressive. And you know what? Another person who started the season well, Vinicius Junior as well. I mean, he's not a new youngster. He's still young though. But he was expected to be, shunted to the bench because Gareth Bale has come back. Eden Hazard supposedly has had a good preseason. But Vinicius Junior is really making some serious noise. And on Saturday, he started in place of Eden Hazard. So yes, Carlo Ancelotti has to lean on the young players in his squad now, likes of Fede Valverde and them, because Real Madrid, Florentino Perez, he said it himself, without the Super League, we're not going to be able to just throw money around getting the world's best players like the Galactico system, which they always used to have. So Carlo Ancelotti knew that when he walked in, he had to depend on some very unknown youngsters like the one you mentioned to be able to carry them through this season, because only now they've only bought David Alaba. Real Madrid have only made one signing, in fact, since they got Eden Hazard 2 years ago.
And a lot will definitely be discussed about whether they will be able to afford Kylian Mbappe, and the rumors are rather, I don't think so. But anyway, we'll see how that one will go. But let's quickly rush from there, quickly look at the Bundesliga. Well, there's only one team to really talk about there, Bayern Munich, but Robert Lewandowski causing records to continue to tumble. 300 goals for Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga alone.
Well, the man is a machine. He's a massive machine, and you know what? Bayern Munich, fair play to them. When they was making noise about him supposedly wanting to leave last week, they said, no, he's not going anywhere. And you know what? As the professional he is, he's like, you know what? It won't affect me, and he scored a hat-trick on Saturday. A hat-trick. So, look, it's expected from Robert Lewandowski. I would have loved to see him leave Bayern Munich and get a better, shall we say, challenge, because he's been in the Bundesliga since he was at Dortmund 10 years ago. He's never known anything other than German football. It would have been lovely to see him in Spain, or especially in the English Premier League. Doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. If it does, maybe his powers would have waned. I'm not sure. But 300 goals, hey, look, you have to commend it. In any league, that's a serious achievement.
Oh yes, most definitely. So let's quickly now step over to Italy, where it's not looking too good for the black and white, the old lady of Turin. Massimiliano Allegri coming back into a familiar role, would say he was with them. He had some relative success with them, but losing to Empoli doesn't really do his CV any favors.
People were wondering if last season Juventus's 4th place in Serie A was a fluke. It's not a fluke. There are serious, shall we say, structural squad issues within Juventus that they have still not addressed. Cristiano Ronaldo was papering over a lot of cracks when he scored 29 league goals last season. They still only finished 4th. Now without him, without those goals, they're going to struggle, I think. It looks like, because they're aging. It's an aging squad. I mean, they're still depending on Bonucci. Chiellini's not even coming yet. Locatelli's their only signing. Yes, he was supposed to provide a bit more balance to their midfield. But this, for me, Juventus' biggest issue has always been in central midfield. Since they lost the likes of Pogba, Vidal, Pirlo, they have struggled to be able to get a midfield that drives them forward like that and be able to shield their defense. Because Juventus used to be built on strong defense going forward then. But now, as I said, it's an aging defense now, and their midfield is, besides Locatelli, who have you got there to be able to, and look, Locatelli, he played well for Italy in Euro 2020, but he was coming off the bench. Or he played the first 2 games, then he sat on the bench. So he's not even the best midfielder available.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, you do have maybe other names such as Paulo Dybala, Federico, Chiesa, Bernardeschi, and Chiesa, but still, it's just not enough.
The thing is, Paulo Dybala is now supposed to take on the mantle that has been left behind by Cristiano Ronaldo, because you're not going to get that from Alvaro Morata. Dybala. You're laughing, but you know it's true. You're not going to get that from Alvaro Morata. Dybala is supposed to take on the mantle of the talisman now, which he was before Cristiano came. But he was not playing a lot last season through injury, and mostly through injury. So now you're shunting him back into the team, expecting him to pick up again from where he was 3 seasons ago. That's very tough. That's very tough now. And look, Massimiliano Allegri as well has come in. He's trying to change the system back to what he used to do 2 seasons ago, because now for the last 2 seasons they've become more of a ball-playing team. So he's now trying to change that mentality in the players. It will take some time.
Well, let's see whether he'll be able to succeed. Now we come through to the Premier League in England as well. Now about to wrap up the show. Let's look at a couple of things quite quickly. First and foremost, we'll start off with the fact that Liverpool and Chelsea, that was a fantastic encounter to watch.
First half,
it was a handball, yes. Red card, no. I don't think so. I think that was a bit too harsh. Yes, maybe law book and this and that, but I think if referees also do have the discretion to exercise, I think at the very most it should have been a yellow card and then a penalty. Yes, it was a penalty.
No, it was a penalty, 100%.
We agree. But hey, at the end of the day, 2 entertaining teams. Chelsea defended out of their socks in the second half, and Liverpool, once again, we were now seeing a bit more of that football that helped them win the title, with Virgil van Dijk basically at the base of that defense, giving assurance, with Trent Alexander-Arnold now looking like a totally different player
from last season.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for me that you can take out of that, 2 of them, of course, Chelsea look like serious title contenders. Because if you can defend against Liverpool at Anfield with 10 men for 45 minutes, wow, that means you're going to be really hard to break down for anyone at 11. Then the most important thing I took away from that game is Liverpool still are missing a creative midfielder, because they were struggling to break down. Yes, as I just said, I praised Chelsea, but they were lacking creativity coming from the center of the park. Everything needed to come from either Trent Alexander-Arnold or Andy Robertson, and then leave it to the front 3. They're missing in the middle someone who can pick a pass, someone who can be able to pull the Chelsea defenders into different areas and to create space for that front 3.
So can I quickly jump in on that one? Was then the keeping on of either Harvey Elliott or Henderson a bit too long before they introduced Thiago Alcantara?
100%. Thiago Alcantara should have come on at half-time. We saw what he did to Chelsea last season when they were also facing a 10-man Chelsea. That was at Stamford Bridge. He came on and ran the game, and they scored 2 goals. He should have come on at halftime.
Yeah, maybe you should have. But, well, anyway, that was one of the other things. And then the woes continue in North London, particularly at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal, yeah. Does Arteta survive at least even up until December?
I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if the man makes it to November. I'll be very shocked because this is not a situation of they were losing to Manchester City and to Chelsea. We saw what they did against Brentford. Arsenal look absolutely terrible, mostly because you do not know what they are trying to do. If you're going to lose, at least be like Wolves yesterday. You could see what they were trying to do. They were trying to get the ball quickly up to the likes or through the likes of Traore, pace, power, try to get it on the counter. What are Arsenal trying to do in terms of their football? What is their football idea? I can't see any tactics there. None whatsoever. And I love the tweet which I read about Arsenal. Arsenal concede easy goals, and then everything has to go right for them to score a goal. They never get easy goals, but they concede easy goals. And that is not going to get you anywhere in terms of the English Premier League. Arsenal are not going to finish in the relegation zone. Yes, they're bottom now. They'll be fine in terms of playing again next season. But they're not going to get anywhere near the European places again with Arteta in charge.
Oh, well, anyway, okay, so let's talk about who you would want to get quickly before we go to Man United and seal it off.
Antonio Conte is available.
Would he not totally change the system, and would he not need a bucket load of money to get rid of and introduce some players?
Well, he's not going to get any money now. The transfer window closes in the next few days. He's going to work with what he has. Most importantly, he's going to have a football idea. He's going to give them a structure defensively to be able to make sure that they don't concede those easy goals. Then we'll see what he can create going forward. Because Arsenal still have Bukayo Saka. They still have Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. They still got Lacazette. They've still got Odegaard. They have players to be able to do something going forward.
But they're not doing anything going forward.
Because of Arteta. It's because of Arteta. There's no football idea going forward for Arsenal. Can you please tell me what they're trying to do?
Okay, they are trying to score goals. But all right, so finally, Man United struggled against a Wolves side. Totally out, in my opinion, totally outplayed. Bossed in the midfield by Ruben Neves, João Moutinho. Fred was totally lost. Even sometimes actually getting instruction from Paul Pogba.
Yep.
Go and stand there. You are supposed to be there. I'm here. What are you doing there? I mean, there were, I can recount close to 3 times when Traore got the ball, Fred couldn't even get the guy off the ball. To even a point whereby Woto Sara Akarara, he would fall down and then Traore would just get going. Wolves did waste a couple of chances. Of course, quite unfortunate that the Trincao shot did not go in. Fantastic defending from Wan-Bissaka, and then they were able to steal it through Mason Greenwood. But what can we say? A reminiscence of Manchester United last season again is creeping up.
Look, I've said it countless times. As long as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer remains in charge of Manchester United, they will remain consistently inconsistent. And the biggest reason for that is midfield, you alluded to. Fred and Paul Pogba do not work as a two because neither is defensively aware of able to shut down counterattacks. It was counterattack after counterattack yesterday. And that was because it's basically empty in midfield when it comes to defensive transition.
So is Scott McSauce, we love to call him McSauce here, but is Scott McTominay the answer?
No.
So who could be an answer?
It needs to come from outside the club. That was the signing that should have been made. I love Cristiano Ronaldo. He is one of my football idols. One of the 2 greatest players of all time. He is not what Manchester United needed in terms of a signing. It needed to be in central defensive midfield. That was the signing that needed to be made. I'm not sure who is out there. We're going to have to create one. But we would have needed N'Golo Kante. We would have needed a Casemiro type footballer to go straight into that midfield and work by himself like Fernandinho does for Manchester City.
So can I give you a couple of options? What are your thoughts? There's been talk about Bissouma from Brighton and Hove Albion, Wilfred Ndidi from Leicester City, Declan Rice from
Not
West Ham
Declan
United.
Rice. Not Declan Rice. Not Declan Rice. That he was not good at all for England. For me, he was not good at all in a defensive aspect for England during Euro 2020. He's overrated.
All right, so would you prefer maybe a Calvin Phillips who did much better?
Well, he comes from Leeds, it'll be tough to get, but I would prefer a Calvin. Look, I would prefer an Yves Bissouma. I would actually prefer Yves Bissouma from Brighton. I think he's actually available. He's able to be gotten, but
Then
it's
again,
too late.
it's a little bit too late. But anyway, we would love to hear your thoughts and comments on that one. We have to bring it to an end. It could go for 2 hours, but at the end of the day, we definitely have to watch your time as well. But a great big thank you to you, Rukudzo, for coming through and making this discussion absolutely entertaining and lovely. And so we'll be looking forward to you as well commenting in the comment section. And again, we'll be coming through with another show. Watch out on our YouTube channel. Wednesday, we'll be bringing out another episode for you, your premium online sports show. But until next time, cheerio.